Well, it hasn't been a good week for elite consensus here in Washington. Democrats shut down the government only to belatedly realize that most Americans are not on their side. They don't think illegal immigrants are worth closing the government for. Meanwhile, Robert Mueller's investigation muddles ahead. More and more evidence suggests the FBI is too ideologically compromised, possibly too incompetent, to reach trustworthy conclusions. Are we reaching the right conclusions from these news stories? To check, we're inviting, as we always do, Fox senior political analyst Brit Hume to add some clarity to this chaotic picture. Brit, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.
So what I find so striking
about try to add some clarity.
I know that you will. That's implied, baked in the cake. But I was kind of shocked by the Schumer story this week because I think Schumer's smart and I think he pays close attention to poll numbers, as politicians ought to, I think. And yet they went way out on a limb, shut the government down over an issue that most Americans don't consider a top priority. How did they do that?
Well, I think, Tucker, my guess is that Schumer probably did not think this was a good idea.
Yeah.
And probably resisted it. But the strength of the left branch of his caucus is such that it reminded me in the end very much of what happened in 2013 with Ted Cruz and that rump group of House Republicans who were in sufficient numbers that they forced John Boehner, who was clearly reluctant, he was then Speaker, of course, to let them go forward with the strategy to shut the government down, to try to lever President Obama into undoing a big piece of Obamacare. Well, it failed utterly. The measures the House passed went nowhere in the Senate. The government shut down. The public did not like it, and the history of the public's liking government shutdowns is pretty thin. And in the end, they all had to back down. Well, this was sort of a mirror image of that. I don't think the leader liked it, but he, was a good soldier, participated in it, and in the end, they got their butts handed to them and had to back down because it did not go over well. And the members in their caucus who were up for re-election this year could sense that, and a handful of them voted no on the whole idea on the first go-round back last week. And by the end of the weekend, I think it was clear to them, at least, that they were losing, and it was hurting. It could hurt them back home. And so they came out and caved in, and Schumer and the filibustering Democrats got practically nothing.
It's just remarkable, though, and Republicans seem a little out of touch with public sentiment on this, too. The new Harvard poll asked people, do you think we need less or more immigration? Overwhelmingly less. The number of Americans who want more people to come from foreign countries, and that's the consensus view in D.C. on both parties, we need more, 12% want more. I wonder why they're not aware of that. None of them seem aware of that.
Well, it depends on which piece of the immigration issue you're looking at it. The idea that you want more immigrants than we're now getting, I think is, that's not popular, as you suggest. But when you break out say the DACA piece of it,
right?
And of course these are people who. Did you hear that voice behind me? That was Alexa. I managed, Tucker, to wake Alexa up with something.
Wait, so you're saying Amazon is monitoring this conversation?
Yeah, Amazon, and I ask her all the time. I say, Alexa, are you spying on me? Listen. She didn't answer. Oh, I can understand that. Anyway, you look at DACA. This is a subset of the immigrants in this country illegally who came here, as we've all heard said, through no fault of their own when they were young, when they were minors. And there's a case to be made that these people are worthy of some sympathy. They've never known any other place but America as home. And to send them back to some place they've never been seems unfair. And I think most Americans, that issue polls pretty well. And it seems that there's bipartisan support for that. And then there's the question of what you do about the illegals who are already here. And their presence here is not popular, as you've suggested. But then the question becomes, is it practical to try to round them all up and send them home? And that's kind of a bridge too far. So once you get past the idea that the general idea that people don't want more immigration, and they certainly don't want more illegal immigration, it gets complicated. And of course, the president, I think, is standing on fairly solid ground from his point of view and wanting a series of border security measures to go with any measure to relieve the DACA people of their situation here, of their potential to be deported. So that's sort of where we are in this, and we got another negotiation coming up soon, and we'll see how much the Democrats are willing to give in order to get the DACA repeal undone.
I, for one, am looking forward to it. Britt Hume, thank you for the clarity on that. I appreciate it. And good luck with Alexa.
You bet. Thanks. Thank you.
An academic in California says it's time to put abortion-themed comedy on television, because that's hilarious. A supporter of that idea will be here next.